Hey guys, so right now we're going to create a more like a studio space. So I'll show you how I'm going to create it. First, let's create a collection here. Let's click this one. Then I'm gonna rename this Studio Mesh. Then I'm gonna hit Shift A, then add a plane. We'll make sure that it's under here. Let's make it big, like that. Make sure it's large enough. Then we will hit Tab, then go to Edge mode so that we could select these corners here, the 3 corners. Then we will extrude, hitting E, then Z to extrude it upwards. Then we will select these corners once again and hit Control B, like that, and drag and scroll wheel up so that we could add more curves. Oh, by the way, we forgot to add this one as well. So let's select this, this, and this one. Basically 5 corners or edges we're selecting. Then Control B, like that, and just scroll wheel up. Let's make it a bit dense, like that. Then we'll check. Let's right click and shade smooth. So as you can see here, we already added our studio, kinda. I think I'm gonna hide the grid there. So let's try changing this to black. Let's add a material, this one. So let's click here, materials, click the plus button, new, and I'm gonna name this floor. And it will change the base color to completely a little bit of black, more like a dark gray. Then let's increase the roughness a little bit, like that, so that when we rendered, we could have we could get this kind of background. Then we will add a light. So I think I'm gonna change this to studio only. Then we'll click in the studio. Let's rename this floor. Then Shift A. Let's add a light. Then area light. Let's increase the size of our area light. Then in order to preview, hold Z. Then go to rendered over here. As you can see, it's not yet, doesn't have any light yet because we need to increase the power here, over there. When I'm trying to drag my mouse to the right, you can already see it's adding a light. So when I move left to right, you can already see the object has been lit. So this is basically our setup. So I'm gonna Shift D at the back, then increase one more. We'll add a lighting behind like this, so that when we try to render, we could get the highlight in the background over here. There. Then actually we can go to layout mode over here so that we could preview our model like this, so that in this side we can just set everything. We can create compositions, and on this side is our final render. So I'm gonna change this to rendered. So this is our camera. We can move this thing around like that. Okay, so I'll rotate. I will change my camera here. The size, so currently it's a 1920 by 1080, so I'm gonna change this into 4K. So 3340 to 2160. Okay, so that's basically a 4K resolution. So next is, I think we need to rotate our shoe. Let me hide this. Just turn this thing off, the overlay, so that it will hide some grids or the other parts on your viewport here. Okay, so we'll try rotating them, like facing in front like this. I want to make sure that you have this cool. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of depth of field. Let me figure out the camera settings here. So where's the camera settings? It's here. It's currently in EV. I think I'm gonna change this to cycles. So let's change this one to cycles so that we could get that kind of realistic rendered. Because in EV is a real-time rendering, but cycles, I think it uses CPU. I'm not sure, but it renders way more better than EV, guys, if you're not familiar with it. So let me render this thing. Actually, you can render it without the backgrounds. Like, let's say I'm gonna hide this one. Hold on. I'm gonna hide the floor. You can render it without background, so that you can just edit this one in post. But I still prefer with background, so that I could just render it right away and just add some text for presentation. I don't want to waste another time thinking about the background, so I would rather do everything in post. So let me duplicate the area light here, and I want to add it the bottom part. So let me rotate this. Let me move this floor to the bottom. Okay. The light, I think I added too much. Oops. Rotate this. Let's add a little bit of light in front. Just a little bit. So let's bring back our EV here, so that we could just play around with the lighting first. And I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to add a lighting at the back, so that we could get those highlights here in the wings. I want to add lighting, you can see there, but I think it's too reflective. I think the light should face here, so they could get the highlights here. Let me increase the power. So let's see the difference. So let's try to turn on our cycles again. Okay, let's see the difference. There's not much a difference to this lighting here. Let me set my camera's aperture. Where's my camera? Here, we can just click this camera here. Go to this camera. Focal length. Yep, it's 50mm. If I increase the focal length, yeah, here, depth of field. So let's turn this thing on. Depth of field. Then we can select the focused object. Let's select this object L over here. Did the app stop? This is our aperture here. So the the higher the aperture, the more blur you could get in the background. So the lower, the more focus on the object, like you're like closing your aperture on a camera. I cannot explain to you guys technically, but if you're familiar with photography, that's how it works. So as you can see, I call this one lowering the f-stop, but you can see the numbers, it's increasing. It's more like an opposite in photography. So I think I'm gonna lower down to f1.4. Let me try. If I could get that bokeh in the background. So currently I don't have any bokeh here because my PC cannot render it in real time that quick. So I think I'm gonna just set some lightings here, guys. Then I will show you how I set up the lightings later, because if I'm gonna like record everything on how I set this thing up, it will take a lot of time. So might as well just show you the results, then I will explain it to you how does the lighting works around. But basically I just already shown you how I set up lighting. Like I hit Shift A and just add some light, or just duplicate them and just turn the shoe on its different angles, right? So I'm gonna show you once I finish setting up the composition, and that's basically it. Okay guys, so this is our setup for now. I might change this one later, but I'll just show you how to render our file over here. Like we set up the camera already, the lightings here, and we have a plane created, or a floor for our render. So what we're going to do is to disable some parts here. As you can see the camera icon here, because if we enable this, which means you will also render some parts, like for example our gray blocks here, it will also rendered. So we will not let that thing happen. So what we're going to do is to disable this. Let's click the camera here, our duplicated shoes, this one. Instead we will only render this, the final shoe. Let's turn that thing back on, the left and the right, which is this one. The floor, the lightings, I think that's basically it. The empty, we will hide that as well, the empty here. The camera, we will remain that because we are going to use that for our render. Okay, that's basically much it. We are just turning off our other meshes that is not included in the render. If you cannot find this camera option here, you can just click this filter icon here and you can enable this here on restriction toggles. Okay, now we can start rendering. So I think we will need to change our resolution here for our render. Let's change it to 1920 to 1080. Then we also need to change the samples here, the max samples, because I think 2048 and 1024 is too much for just a test render. So I think I'm gonna lower down to like 250, I guess. So let's try 250 for a quick render. So let's start rendering by hitting render here and render image. Oh, why is it not yet changed? It's currently still in 1024. Oh, let's bring back 250, enter, and we will try to run. Oh yeah, we change only to the viewport. We forgot to change the samples to our render here. So let's change our render max samples, then let's start rendering again. Okay guys, so we have finished rendering our shoe here. You can already see, you can see those details here. That's pretty much it. So in order to save this, we will click the image here, then save as, and look for the folder we want to save. I'm gonna hit 1, then save image, and it's already here on my folder, and you can check it out. So on your output directory, that's probably the animation that you are exporting. So currently we don't have any animation, so this is only in one frame, so we have to like manually exporting the image. So it's already here. We can edit this inside Photoshop if you want, or any softwares. You can see the size here as well, the resolution, it's 1920. And we can close this. You can just play around your settings here, the render and the max samples. You can change the CPU to GPU as well. I forgot, this is why I rendered my cycles kind of slow, because I'm rendering it previously on CPU. So I think on my next render it might be faster a little bit. So we're showing you how I render stuff like this. So for this one, our output, I think this will only works if we are creating like frame by frame animations, but currently we don't have any animations here. As you can see, we only working at one frame, but later once we are starting to animate, then this option will work. Alright, for now we only rendering only one frame, just playing around with the angles and to our composition. So after this, I will show you guys on my final composition. Okay guys, so this could be our final presentation for this tutorial. So this is my current composition. I have 3 area lights here. I only have 3, so I want to show you how does it work. So I'm gonna click Z and go to rendered. So currently I'm using Eevee. You can use cycles if you want to, but for this I want to use only Eevee, because for quick preview, like if I want to animate this later, it will be easy for me to animate then see how does the lighting works inside Blender. Because if I want to use cycles, well, every time I move the object, like it's not good for previewing because it adds much noise. But for rendering, cycles would be better because it gives you way more realistic lighting compared to Eevee, because Eevee is a, what do you call this, a real-time rendering engine. Okay, so let's use Eevee for now, because we will animate this later and we will add a camera. Okay, so this is our current setup. I have a lighting here as well, both on top, left and right, and one at the back. So next is we're going to add a camera, because previously I deleted the camera because I want to show you guys how I create the camera animation from scratch. So first let's add a camera. Shift A, click camera, and I'm going to move this thing to the left. And our rotation currently is not facing the correct direction. So first let's add another viewport here. Hover here to the upper left, then drag to the right, and I want to hide everything here. N and T. Let's turn off the overlays. Then I want you to click the camera icon here. So currently we're facing down here, so we want to fix that. Let's adjust our rotation. I think our X will be 90. Then our Z will be, let's try 90. And okay, Y is 0. As you can see here, it's already facing towards our shoe, but it's not yet done, because you will notice that every time we, let me hide this thing first. Every time we move our camera to left and right, it's not following the shoe, right? Like for example, we want to animate our camera later. So when we move to the right, it's not following the shoe. So we have a basic technique for that. So first, let's add a rendered version here. Then I want this to be material preview only. Then next is let's add an empty on our viewport. So Shift A, go to empty and add a plane axis. Okay, so we already have this one here. I want you to make sure that our axis is in the center of both of our shoe here. So I already have one here. Just play around your empty. Just make sure that it's in the middle of them both here. Next is, let's click our camera here. Then go to constraints, because we will add a modifier here. Click add object constraint, then look for track to. Okay, click that. Then we're not done yet. You will notice that it's not yet following anything, right? So then click our target here. Let's look for our empty. So it's over here. So you can just click the eyedropper tool and click the empty, or you can just search here empty. And this is the one. Okay, so you will notice that it moves a little bit. It means our camera was already locked into our empty over here. So every time we move our camera left and right, you will notice here to our viewport that it follows the shoe, right? Because it follows the empty over here. That's why it tracks every time we move left and right or in front. It automatically tracks our shoe. Crazy, isn't it? So this is a cool technique that we're going to use for animating our camera. So like if I want to create a slow-mo animation like that, we'll automatically track our shoe. Okay, so anyways, our next task is to add a little bit of animation to both of our shoe. So these are just basic animations, like I want to move this thing up and down, like it's more like a shoe in space, right? If you're in space, you're like floating up and down like that, right? So it's just a simple animation. Just want to show you guys how I animate this kind of stuff. Okay, so let me move our camera to the back a little bit like that. Okay, don't forget to save. Control S and save. So first thing is, let's go to what do you call that, keyframe 1. Then we're going to animate one shoe first. So let me click the left shoe over here. So first is we will add a keyframe. To add a keyframe, just press I on your keyboard, and you can see here it already added the orange colored keyframe, which means it's already added a keyframe to it. And you can also add another keyframe for our right shoe over here. Just press I, and it will automatically add another keyframe for this one. So next is we're going to move to 60. Then we can now start animating our this shoe first, our left shoe. Oh, I mean it's right, by the way, because you're looking at in this perspective. So let's click our right shoe. Then we will move this thing on top like that a little bit. Want to make sure that we're not going over outside the frame here. So once we move this one on top, we can now start adding another keyframe. Press I, and you can see here when we move this one, you can already see it's moving upwards, right? Cool, isn't it? Then let's go to 20. Then let's copy the first keyframe here. Just click the first keyframe, Control C and Control V. Now it brings it back to its original place. So every time we move this thing, it will just floating like that. So I want you to press play here. Press this. You can already see it's moving, right? So we're not done yet. We will add the same thing to our left shoe. So let's go to 60. Instead of 60, I want you guys to move further to 80, because we want to add a little bit of delay on our animation, because I don't want to look uniform to both of them, to make it more a little bit of natural move. Because if I animate them both together, like they move all together, it doesn't look real, like it looks flat for me. So I do like animating them individually, like in different keyframes, to give a little bit of randomness, you know, if you know what I mean. Okay, so anyways, let's go back, move to 80, then click our left shoe. Then let's move this thing to the top a little bit as well. Now let's press I. Then let's go to 120 again, and let's copy the first keyframe, Control C and Control V. Now let's go back to keyframe 1 and let's play our animation. Now you can see there's a little bit of delay, which looks a little bit of randomness compared, like if you're creating the same animation and it doesn't look good. Okay, so also we're not done yet. Okay, we want to add a little bit of rotation every time we are racing upwards like that. So let's go back to our keyframe 60. Let's click our right shoe. Then I want to add a little bit of rotation, like it's facing upwards like that. You can play around your animation, guys, if you want to. So I wanna face this thing upwards like that every time the shoe races. So I'm gonna press I once again. So let me check the animation if it does look cool. Yep. Okay, so let me try the other one as well. Go to 80. I want to raise this shoe, then move this thing to the left. Let's press I. Okay. I can just play around. Like, I think it doesn't look good for me. I'm gonna adjust this thing a little bit like that. Press I again. Oops, I'm in keyframe 80. Sorry. Let's press this. Just playing around. Yeah, just bring back to its original position. Okay, I think I'm gonna like move this thing like this and just raise a little bit like that. Just add a little bit of randomness. Yeah, I prefer this one. So let's move to our keyframe 80, then let's play around with this one as well. This one rises, then okay, let's try this one. Okay, I'm gonna play this thing. Okay, so let's loop this part. Like, I'm gonna change the end keyframe to 120 because we ended in 120. Let's play once again. This will automatically loop our animation here. You can see it here. The way it ended, it's a little bit too fast for this one. So I think I'm gonna move this to 870. Okay, let's play once again. Okay. I think I want to add a little bit of delay for this part when it's moving downwards. Or the first part here, I want to move it further to 50. Let me try. Just play around your keyframes, guys. This one, I think I rotated too much. I don't want this thing to rotate too much. Okay, let me try. Like that. Okay, I think it looks cool for me. I will just adjust the camera a little bit. A little bit upwards, like that. I'm gonna move backwards so that it could show like everything. Okay, I think this one's cool. Let me try playing again. Okay, I think I need to adjust the animation a little bit more. just play around your animation, guys. You can animate whatever you want. You can also create a walk animation if you want to. Okay, let me try this one. Okay, I think this one's cool. I want to adjust this one a little bit because it's too exaggerated for me. Like the way it turns, it's too exaggerated. Okay, I think this one's smoother. And I want to adjust my empty. So I'm not comfortable with it. So you can adjust your empty, guys, if you want to. Like I move mine at the back like this. If you want to move your framing, if you want to correct your framing, because I want to make sure that I'm occupying at the center or in the middle. I only watch in the middle, like I want to make sure that I have empty spaces around to avoid visual cluttering, you know. Okay, I think this one looks good. So next, I think we need to render this one. I want to show you guys how to render this one. So to render this, let's go to output here, then the one that I tell you on how to render the animation. Like before, we only rendered, when we click render, then render image, it only renders the one frame. Like example, we're in the 50 keyframe, we'll only render out the 50 keyframe. Or we're in the first keyframe, it will only render on that part, okay? So we want to render the animation only. So let's go to our output here, then let's look for the folder that we wanted to render. So I'm gonna create another folder here. I'm gonna name it 3. Then let's double click that and click accept. Next is we will set our frame start and frame end. So currently we are until frame 120. So let's set our end to 120 because currently it's looping like that. So what will happen is we are rendering 120 keyframes, then it will go back to its original position. Then we will just edit it out inside DaVinci Resolve or Premiere or what video editing software that you want to use. We will just import the animation, then just duplicate each videos or animation because it will only loop as long as we are creating a looped animation like this one. So we don't need to worry. We can even render until 70 as long as our animation is until 70 if you want to, but currently we only have until 120. So anyways, let's start to render this. Make sure our frame rate is in 24 frames per second. And if you want to import your animation inside the editing software, you will also want to make sure that you're using the same frame rate, because you will have some issues if you don't have the same frame rate if you want to import your animation. Okay, so our resolution will be 1920 and 1080. You can turn it into 4K if you want to. Next is file format PNG. You can choose JPEG if you want, but mine is in PNG. I'm just gonna leave everything here in default, and let's start rendering our animation. So click render and click render animation. So currently we're using Eevee, so we will have a quick rendering for this one, because if you are going to use cycles, it will take us a lot of time to wait for our rendering. Like it's gonna render frame by frame, then we will have a hard time waiting for our render to finish. Okay, so we have finished rendering. So you can see here our frame is already in 120. It means we already finished our rendering until 120 frames. So let's close this. Then I already opened my DaVinci Resolve here. You can use your Premiere Pro if you want to. And let me open the folder I have exported. So these are the animations, I mean the frames that we have exported. So let me open one first, and if you want to press next, you will notice that our animation here is moving because, you know, it's loading frame by frame. That's why we need a editing software, or actually Blender has a video editing option here. So let me open another Blender window over here. So on our home page, we have this option here, video editing. We can open this, and you can even import your animation inside Blender. But for me, I'm not comfortable with this. You already see that there's very few options here to edit your video. Like, I can't even find the cut option here. There's no cut or trim. So I don't want to use Blender for this one. So I do recommend you guys to open DaVinci Resolve or download DaVinci Resolve. It's free, so you will not have any problems with it. So next is we're going to import our animation. So let's go to our edit here. Let's open the folder. And I want you guys to highlight everything by holding shift and highlight like that. Go to your end keyframe, then hold on, let me minimize this thing. Let's drag it here on our edit tab, so, and place it over there. So DaVinci Resolve will automatically detect that our images was created in sequence. So when we play our DaVinci here, you can already see it's already loading our animation like that. So we will not have any issues. So as you can see, it's not looping. So all I want you guys to do is to click this loop, then hit play, so that it will automatically like play again from scratch. So if you don't want to add a loop, you can just click this, go to the end keyframe here, Control C and Control V, and just so on and so forth. As long as you're copying the same thing, you can estimate how many seconds you want. So you can just delete the 3 here. You can make 20 seconds, or for Instagram stories, Facebook stories, you can just make it 15 seconds like that. But I think you can post more than 1 minute in stories. I'm not sure. So let's stick with 15 seconds. So let's play. You can already see here we have this animation looping. So that's basically how we import and export our animations from Blender. You can just click deliver here, then you can just export, file name, browse location, then whatever you want. Okay, so that's basically our process. So our next task, let me close this. Our next task is to animate our camera. So I will show you how I animate my camera here. So it's basically the same process. So let's extend our end keyframe to 250. Let's make it 250. So currently our animation here ended until 120, right? So let's end this one to 240, because 120 times 2 is 240. So next is let's click our right shoe. Then we will copy the 3 keyframe here. Oh, sorry. I think, oh yeah, we will copy this one. So, from scratch. Oh yeah, this one and this one. So, hit Control C. Then let's go to, I think 50. Control V. Okay. And just let's play around the animation. I think this one's too quick, so I want my animation to look smooth. Yeah, 170. Let me check. Okay, let's play. Let's see if our animation moves smoothly like that. Oh yeah, that's basically it. We just duplicated everything. I think I'm gonna move this thing to 180. Like that. Okay, so next part is our left shoe. I'm gonna do the same thing. Copy these, Control C, move to 170, Control V. 190, because we want to make sure that our end frame here was placed in our last keyframe, which is 240. Then I'm gonna move this thing to 180. That okay, let's check. No, let's move this to 190 back so that it will not look uniform. Instead, it will look random on our animation. Okay, so let's play. Let's make sure that it's looping like that. Okay, we have finished duplicating. Next is the final part, which is our camera. But first, I want my keyframe to like end on 200. So let's add a keyframe here, because which means we will add we will end our animation with this kind of view, or with this direction. So I want to add a little bit of zoom. Let's add a zoom on our camera like that, and move the angle, and let's add a keyframe. So let me check. Just add a little bit of smoothness like that. You can already see. So our first keyframe, sorry, is to like it's on the side. At the back like this. So we will basically start our animation facing far like that. Then it will just slowly facing in front. Okay, so I think I'm good with this. So let's add a keyframe at the back here. Click I. Then next is let me check. Let's play if this thing will work. You cannot even notice that our object is moving up and down. Oh, this one's better. This one looks cool. I think we will move this thing to 50. Oops, sorry, only this keyframe. Let's move this thing to 50. Then I think I'm gonna move this thing to the side like this. Oh, sorry. Let me bring this thing back. I'll move this. Sorry, I bring back our keyframe to 1 again. So let's move our, what do you call this? Whatever. Just go back to 50. Then let's move this thing a little bit in front. So let's add another keyframe. Let me check. How does it work? Let me play this animation. Nah, I don't like it. I think this one's better. Like, it's so smooth like that. Right? Yeah, I think I prefer this one. So I will try exporting this. First, let me preview once again in full screen. Yep, I prefer this one. So next is we're going to do the same thing, is to export our animation. And that's basically it. Okay guys, so we have finished rendering our animation. So let's import this inside DaVinci once again. Highlight them, just drag it here. Then let's hit play. By the way, if you see I only have one screen here, just click here. If you want 2 screens, you can click just that. So I want to have single screen. Then let's play our animation. Cool. So I think we have finished everything, and I already shown you how I import our renders inside DaVinci. You can also do the same process on other video editing softwares if you want to import image sequences, because this one, they call this image sequence because we are rendering frame by frame. You can see the numbers here, they are in sequence, and it ended at 240 frames. And it's a wrap. Thank you guys for finishing the course, and I hope you learned a lot. And stay tuned. I will upload more courses on my Gumroads, and also I'm gonna upload them on Udemy because I have 2 courses on my Udemy account. You can check it out as well. So that's pretty much it, and thank you for finishing the course. Cheers.